We're going to talk a little while about film acting, which I've done a little bit.
In the camera, I move over to there, and my other eye is in the camera, but I'm looking at you.
Right.
That's
Very
the
good.
trick.
They should be saying, I wonder what's going to happen to Harry Brown now. You know?
For more than half a century, Michael Caine has been cinema's great constant, his voice unmistakable, his presence quietly magnetic. He never shouted his way through a role, he let stillness do the work. From the cold grit of Get Carter to the warmth of the Cider House Rules, his career became a study in endurance and grace.
But what have I got out of it? I got a bob or two, some decent clothes, a car.
Now, boys, you're fixing to let those teenage hormones get you into the world of trouble.
You failed to maintain your weapon, son.
When asked to name his 7 favourite films of all time, Caine didn't pick what was fashionable. He chose stories that built him, films that shaped how he saw acting, fame, and the fragile humanity behind it. Here are the 7 movies that Michael Caine says changed everything. Number 1. Lawrence of Arabia. The first film Caine names is Lawrence of Arabia, the one that taught him what cinema could do beyond storytelling. He saw it in 1962, still unknown, sitting in the dark as the desert swallowed the screen. Peter O'Toole's quiet command showed him that charisma wasn't loud, it was control, it was silence filled with meaning. That lesson never left him. Caine later said the film felt like watching acting become landscape. Every gesture in the heat, every pause before a decision seemed carved out of time. The way O'Toole barely moved, yet filled the frame, revealed something Caine had never been taught, the strength inside restraint. He didn't perform emotion, he waited for it to arrive. He carried that idea through the hungry years that followed, when auditions went nowhere and confidence was scarce. The image of O'Toole alone in the desert reminded him that stillness could be its own rebellion. You didn't have to shout to be seen, you only had to be present. The film gave him permission to underplay, to trust quiet over noise.
You crossed the line first, so you squeezed them, you hammered them to the point of desperation.
Decades later, the echo is unmistakable. The same patience, the same gravity born from silence. Watching Lawrence of Arabia again, Caine said he finally understood why it endured. It isn't about conquest, it's about endurance. For him, the film was more than inspiration, it was instruction, a reminder that sometimes the loudest voice in cinema is the one that never raises. Number 2. The Third Man. Caine calls The Third Man a film that lives in the shadows. Watching it as a young actor, he realized that moral certainty was an illusion, that heroes and villains could share the same face. Orson Welles' charm and menace merged into something unforgettable. To Caine, that duality became the key to real acting. Never judge the character, just understand him.
Soms was heute nie überhaupt ein. Sind Sie deppert? Ja, Sie meine ich, schon nicht so blöd.
Caine first saw The Third Man while working night shifts between auditions. Vienna's crumbling streets, that haunting zither score, the tilted frames, they all taught him that beauty could coexist with decay. The film's moral fog became a metaphor for life as an actor. Uncertain, improvisational, always walking between right and wrong. Every face in that film hides a secret. He admired how Welles turned charisma into danger, how charm could feel like a weapon. The revelation shaped Caine's later portrayals of morally grey men, from the cold efficiency of Get Carter to the weary intelligence of the quiet American. He once said, "The Third Man taught him that the camera doesn't want purity, it wants conflict. That's where the humanity hides." Even decades later, Caine still referenced Carol Reed's direction as a lesson in what not to show. The power of suggestion, the look held 1 second too long, the light that falls away just before the truth arrives, became part of his DNA. The Third Man showed me that mystery isn't what you hide, it's what you allow to linger. For Caine, the film endures because it refuses resolution. Like its shadows, it never fully leaves you. Number 3. Casablanca. When Caine talks about Casablanca, It isn't the romance he remembers, it's the rhythm, the pauses between words, the heartbreak hiding in restraint. Watching Bogart and Bergman, he understood that the truest emotion isn't declared, it's implied. Each line lands like a confession, disguised as control. Caine calls it a masterclass in understatement, the very quality that defined his own career.
Why my name, Richard?
Because you're getting on that plane.
I don't understand. What about you?
I'm staying here with him till the plane gets safely away.
No, Richard.
Caine often said that the film taught him to play the truth beneath the line. He studied Bogart's timing, the way he paused before every decision, how he let regret flicker for just a moment. He never cried, but you felt his tears anyway. That emotional precision became Caine's blueprint. His characters would feel deeply while saying little, leaving the audience to fill the silence. He loved how Casablanca turned sacrifice into dignity, how restraint could make a scene more devastating than any outburst. Caine once called it the film that proved stoicism can break your heart. Its dialogue was elegant, but its power was in the looks between lines. That taught him that cinema isn't about speaking truths, it's about letting them hang in the air.
All these scales are right. Of course, this suit don't weigh nothing. 9 ounces, lightweight. It's a new terylene and mohair.
As his own career grew, he carried Bogart's restraint with him. In Educating Rita, in The Cider House Rules, you can see that same economy of feeling. The most painful goodbyes are the ones spoken calmly. To Caine, that was the lesson of Casablanca. Real emotion is quiet, and quiet can echo for a lifetime. Number 4. Zulu. For Caine, Zulu is personal. It's the film that made him, but nearly broke him too. Cast against type as a privileged officer, he feared he'd be fired on day one. Instead, he found his confidence. Zulu taught him how to lead with discipline, to hold space without shouting. Every lesson from that set became the foundation for the actor he became.
Yeah.
He arrived on set as a working-class Londoner, asked to play an aristocrat, something no one in the British film industry thought he could do. Surrounded by veterans, Caine felt like an imposter in pressed khaki, but when cameras rolled, instinct took over. He stood still, hands clasped behind his back, letting the uniform carry the authority he didn't feel. I learned that confidence can be a costume. Each take demanded poise under pressure. The sweeping battle scenes, the heat, the precision. It was a trial by fire. Director Cy Endfield pushed him hard, reminding him that real command came from calm, not noise. Caine absorbed it all, realizing that stillness could project power stronger than any shout. When the film premiered, critics hailed his transformation. Overnight, he was no longer that Cockney lad. He was a leading man. But Caine never forgot the fear he felt on that first day, the panic buried under posture. "You don't conquer nerves," he later said. "You use them as fuel." Zulu didn't just launch his career, it rewired how he saw himself. From that moment on, Michael Caine never played at authority, he embodied it. Number 5. On the Waterfront. Marlon Brando's On the Waterfront shattered Caine's idea of acting forever. He saw vulnerability where he expected bravado, raw emotion, instead of performance. Brando's trembling delivery felt alive, unscripted, and utterly human. Caine said it was the moment he understood that truth is louder than technique. From that film onward, he stopped performing and started existing in every role.
I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum.
Before seeing it, Caine thought great acting was precision, hitting marks, controlling gestures, perfecting diction. But Brando was chaos wrapped in honesty. The slurred words, the trembling hands, the pain that never sought permission to appear, it all changed Caine's map of the craft. He wasn't playing Terry Malloy, he was him. That revelation sent Caine back to the basics, listening, reacting, feeling, instead of projecting. When he later played Alfie, that same authenticity guided every smirk, every flicker of conscience beneath the swagger. He realized that truth doesn't have to be beautiful, it just has to be real.
I was getting a suit clean in the bargain. Well, You can't turn something like that down.
Brando's performance became a ghost in his creative life, a standard he never tried to surpass, only to honor. Caine often said that On the Waterfront taught him that acting wasn't about control, but surrender. You have to trust the moment more than yourself. Every time Caine steps in front of a camera, that ghost returns, the reminder that authenticity is the hardest trick to fake. Brando showed him that perfection is hollow without truth, and Caine spent the rest of his career chasing that truth. Number 6. The Godfather. When Caine first saw The Godfather, he said it turned crime into poetry. What struck him wasn't the violence, it was the dignity, the stillness, the way power moved quietly through a room. Caine saw how Al Pacino could command the screen without moving a muscle. It was precision, masquerading as calm. That, he said, is acting at its highest level. What fascinated Caine was the film's discipline, how Coppola let the camera linger in silence, how emotion never rushed to fill the space. Every scene breathes like a confession, not a performance. He was mesmerized by Pacino's transition from innocent soldier to cold Don. That slow burn taught him that transformation on film doesn't require fire, it requires control. Caine often said the film showed him how authority can be built from quiet confidence. There was no shouting, no forced emotion, just gravity earned through restraint. He studied Pacino's eyes, the way they spoke volumes in a whisper. It became a lesson he carried into his own roles, the calm before confrontation, the pause that makes the line land.
Had I created a true and everlasting orphan?
The film's themes of loyalty and loss resonated deeply with him. Caine understood that power without conscience is tragedy waiting to happen. It showed me that monsters aren't born, they're refined. The lessons of The Godfather weren't about crime, they were about human fragility disguised as strength. For Michael Caine, the film proved that great acting is less about speech and more about silence, the moment when you let the truth speak for you. Number 7. The Quiet American. Caine's final choice is deeply personal, his own film, The Quiet American. It's the role that brought him full circle, reminding him of why he began. As Thomas Fowler, he played a man torn between love and conscience, comfort and guilt. Caine once said, "It wasn't acting, it was remembering." The performance earned acclaim, but for him, it was closure.
The communists don't kill townspeople. It is not in their interest.
He was drawn to the story's moral ambiguity, its portrait of a world where every choice costs something. Playing Fowler, Caine faced his own reflections, age, regret, the quiet fear of irrelevance. It was a film about watching history change while pretending you're unchanged. The role didn't require transformation, it required truth. He had lived enough to understand the character's exhaustion. Critics called it a career revival. Caine saw it as a reckoning. He treated each line like a confession, every silence like a memory he couldn't escape. In those moments, the line between actor and man vanished. The camera wasn't recording a performance, it was witnessing a life. He later called Fowler the character I understood most because I could no longer pretend to be young. Acting used to be about imagination, now it's about memory. That honesty defined his later years, a man no longer performing for the world, but speaking quietly to it. For Michael Caine, The Quiet American wasn't just a film, it was a farewell note to the version of himself who first entered cinema with something to prove, and finally found peace. In the end, Michael Caine's list isn't just about movies, it's about moments, when an image, a voice, or a silence shifts a life. Each film he named carried a lesson: stillness, endurance, doubt, grace. Together, they trace the story of a man who learned to listen more than he spoke, to act less and feel more. Cinema gave Caine everything: fame, meaning, and the gift of reflection. Yet even after decades, his reverence for the art remains humble. He still talks about film as a student would, curious, grateful, always learning. Because for Michael Caine, greatness isn't how loudly a story is told, but how long it echoes after the credits fade. What film resonated most with you? Share your thoughts and subscribe for more cinematic stories.